Hello, everyone. I hope you're all keeping well in this very interesting time. It's of course can be quite challenging for a lot of people right now, but I think it's important to keep an eye out on the future opportunities that still exist in the market, and keeping an eye that for many companies it's still important to keep business going, and to highlight some of the key projects and opportunities that exist in Saudi Arabia. So in this presentation, which is being recorded and which will be available for you to listen to and watch again later time, should you wish, I'm going to go through the Saudi Arabia projects market, looking at some of the key data and key future projects that are taking place in the kingdom. And afterwards, after about 30 minutes or so, once we finish the presentation, I'll be taking down your I'll be answering your questions. So please fill in your questions in the text box, and as we go along with this presentation, and at the end, I'll take the time to answer them if I can. Now, of course, this presentation on the Saudi projects market is part of a series of talks and webinars in advance of the Big 5 Saudi event, which will be taking place in just under a year's time, on 7th to 10th of March 2021, in a new location at the Riyadh International Convention and Exhibition Centre. So please make a note in your diaries, free that week up. It's going to be a great event, especially considering the large amount of investment and exciting opportunities that are taking place in the kingdom today and for the next 10 years or so, as part of the Saudi 2030 vision. And of course, you'll hear more about these over the course of the year, and of course at the event itself. So without further ado, let's crack on with the slides in this presentation. So first of all, who am I? My name is Edward James. I'm the Director of Content and Analysis at MEED Projects. MEED Projects, which is partnering with the Big 5 Saudi event as a knowledge partner. We are a projects tracking service covering tens of thousands of projects in the Middle East. And by tracking these projects, we are able to quantify the trends and challenges and opportunities across the Middle East. So all our data that you'll see in this presentation is built from the projects tracking service. If you want to know more, please visit our website, meedprojects.com. Anyway, let's move on swiftly onto the key data and key facts around the Saudi Arabia projects market. So where are we today? And here on this image is an image from the Red Sea tourism project, which I'll be talking about later. This is one of the big so-called giga projects, which are coming up in the kingdom, and which are, of course, are the basis for the high level of excitement around opportunities there. So where are we today? So in 2019, the value of projects awarded in the GCC as a whole was a very substantial $102 billion. So that's a very significant amount. But perhaps more pertinent for this particular webinar and Saudi Arabia as a whole is, as you can see here, the leap between 2018 and 2019 of contract awards in Saudi Arabia. So you can see that in 2018, Saudi Arabia had about $28 billion of contracts awarded. Last year, as the kingdom accelerated its spending plans, as it geared up its 2030 vision, that value, or that number, shot up from 28 billion to $46 billion last year. So nearly half of all contracts awarded in the GCC last year were in Saudi Arabia. And that makes Saudi Arabia once again the largest project market in the largest project market in the MENA region as a whole, and one of the largest project markets in any emerging market or in any advanced economy globally. So you are watching the right slide and watching the right place. Saudi Arabia is the market to watch right now, and is growing and is accelerating and is providing a lot of current and future opportunities, which we'll go through in this presentation. Now, also just to quantify the key sectors in the kingdom, as you can see from this slide, although spending dropped slightly in construction overall in the GCC last year, we can see that construction is by far and away the largest sector of any sector in the projects market in the GCC. Last year, there were $37 billion worth of contracts awarded in construction. And by construction, I mean things like sectors like subsectors like residential buildings, high-rise towers, offices, schools, hotels, hospitals, theme parks, leisure facilities, and so on. So it is by far and away the largest sector of all in the region, and will continue to be so for the foreseeable future. And with all the ramp up in activity in construction in the kingdom, I expect the construction sector to grow not just in Saudi Arabia but in the other GCC sectors as a whole in the coming years. And then also the other second largest sector is also a civil construction sector, and that's transport. Transport, you can see here, $16 billion, projects like roads, airports, railways, ports, so on. That was just over $16 billion. So combined, we have more than $50 billion worth of projects in the civil construction sector. Okay, so that's the latest picture for up to the end of 2019. Let's look at how 2020 and beyond is going to perform. So first of all, just give you a quick overview of some of the key projects in Saudi Arabia, which are currently in bidding, where the tenders have been issued and contractors are preparing their bids, and which bids are going to be submitted. And you can see here there's a wide range of different and exciting projects to just check. You can see the two largest projects are construction projects, and that involving the construction of the new King Salman Air Base outside of Riyadh. So currently, this air base lies in the center of Riyadh, and the authorities are going to relocate it outside the capital in order to use the space where it currently is to build the King Salman International Park, which is going to be the world's largest park. Another large project, again, to make space, is the relocation and construction of the King Faisal Air Academy. So both of those projects are together worth $5 billion, and they're expected to be awarded very, very soon. Other projects, as you can see, oil and gas projects, Saudi Aramco, despite the recent fall in oil prices, Saudi Aramco is advancing and accelerating its projects plan. I think it's important to note that spending in oil and gas is not linked to the actual oil and gas price in the Middle East. And that's because national oil companies like Saudi Aramco look at 5-year investment horizons. And they're not looking at the oil price today, they're looking at the supply and demand dynamics for 3 to 5 years' time. And investing now is not necessarily a reflection of the oil price, it's more a reflection of what Aramco thinks will be future demand. So it just goes to show that there's not necessarily always a close link between oil prices and project spending. I know a lot of you were thinking the oil prices are down, governments have less money to spend, but that's not necessarily always the case, particularly in the oil, gas and power sectors. What else have we got coming up in bidding at the moment in the kingdom? Well, we've got desalination plants. The population's continuing to grow, and whatever happens, demand for water is also going to continue to grow. So governments have no choice but to keep investing in more desalination capacity. And you can see here a couple of independent water projects at Jubail 3A and Jubail 3B. We also have billions of dollars going to be spent over the next 5 years in water networks and other desalination facilities. We've got leisure and resort projects. We've got other construction projects as well, as you can see in this table. Okay, so those are the projects which are currently in tender, but of course, beyond that, projects which are still in the design stage or study stage, future projects coming up over the next 2 to 3, 4 years. You can see there were billions and billions of dollars of longer term projects. We've got the Saudi Land Bridge project, which is the 1,000 kilometer long freight and passenger network between Jeddah and Riyadh, which the Chinese are likely to build. Got the PIF, the Public Investment Fund, planning a new project in Jeddah, modernisation and expansion of housing in Saudi Arabia's second city. We've got an expansion of mall development in Riyadh, the Avenues Riyadh Phase 2 project. We've got various other private and public sector real estate projects like the Karki development in Mecca, the Rais development from the Saudi Tourism Authority. And we've got military projects like the King Fahd Naval Academy in Al Khadimah, and of course transport projects like the Medina and Jeddah Metro projects, the Al Hurus Suspension Bridge, and various other railway lines and airport expansions. All told, in Saudi Arabia, we've got more than $1.4 trillion of known future projects in the pipeline. This is almost as much as all the other GCC states put together. The kingdom has the largest economy, it's got the largest population, and it's got, therefore, as a result, also the largest future projects pipeline, spurred by its massive oil production and oil output, its booming economy, and of course the Saudi 2030 vision, which is underpinning development across the kingdom. So the kingdom, as we all know, is embarking on a phase of opening up, attracting tourism, of attracting foreign investment and diversifying its economy. And this is what's driving the investment in projects and the projects we're about to see in a sec. So just going, again, just to reiterate what I just said, as you can see here, this pie chart, more than $1.4 trillion of future projects in the kingdom. And by far the largest single segment is probably the segment that you are most interested in, and that is the construction sector. Almost $700 billion of known future construction projects in the kingdom, representing 63% of that $1.4 trillion known future projects. So it's an absolutely enormous market. As I said, the Saudi 20 vision is driving that, but fast population growth is driving the need for investment in affordable housing. We've got the growth of the tourism sector, the retail sector. We've got a widespread overhaul of the kingdom's economy and the need to create new economic sectors and the need to open up the kingdom to the outside world, attract foreign investment, attract tourism. Next largest single segment is transport, $206 billion. A lot of that is going into the expansion of the kingdom's airports, in new railways, in new metro projects, expanding the port system. So again, a huge investment there. And then we've got other very significant sectors. Power. Again, as the population grows and the economy grows, the need for power continues to increase. And so we've got more than $100 billion of projects in the pipeline for the power sector. And of course, it goes without saying, Saudi Arabia is the world's largest oil producer, of course, has billions of dollars of future projects in the oil, gas, petrochemical, and industrial space. So Saudi Arabia is by far and away the most exciting, the most diverse, the most dynamic of all projects markets today in the GCC. It's one of the few markets to have grown in the last 12 months, and it is clearly a market to watch and to get very excited about. And just finally, just to look at, from a data perspective, just to look at some of the key future clients in the kingdom that are going to be spending and funding these projects, which we've just been talking about. Here's a list of some of the major future clients, led by the King Abdullah City for Atomic Renewable Energy, which is going to be the client, likely to be the client on the kingdom's nuclear energy program. Expect to get more news about that this year and over the coming 2 years. We've also got the Jeddah Metro company, which is the company behind the plans for a new metro network in Jeddah. Of course, as you all know, construction is nearly complete on the Riyadh Metro, and now thoughts are turning to development of metro projects in Jeddah, but also in Mecca, Medina, and Dammam. Also, people have been watching Saudi Arabia in recent months. You'll know that there's a massive drive for solar and wind energy, and the Renewable Energy Project Development Office is behind that drive. From almost nothing, Saudi Arabia is now pinning a lot of its hopes on solar energy, as well as the forthcoming nuclear energy program. Aramco, of course, it goes without saying, has tens of billions of future projects. And then we have other key authorities, such as the Public Transport Authority, which is going to be the client on the aforementioned railway between Jeddah and Riyadh. We've got the Riyadh Development Authority, which is the key client on projects in and around the capital. Saudi Electricity Company, of course, which is building new power plants and transmission distribution systems. The Saudi Public Investment Fund, which is the overarching owner of the Giga Projects program in Saudi Arabia, and so on. I won't go through each and every one of them, but as you can see, there's a very diverse list of both private and public clients going forward. So let's turn all that data into something a little bit more concrete, a little bit more visual, and looking at some of these individual projects themselves, which are going to be dominating the headlines over the months ahead. And by this time next year, at the Big Five Saudi event in Riyadh in early March, we'll hopefully be able to see some of these projects being realized, coming out of the ground, and have some more information to show to highlight. This image you can see here is the Riyadh Metro. As I said, it's nearing completion. This is one of the stations at the capital, and you can see very architecturally vibrant, dynamic design. And again, the Riyadh Metro represents, I think, the opening up of the kingdom and the need for expanding transport networks and enhanced access to the capital and other cities. So let's look at one of the first key projects which a lot of people are talking about in the kingdom, and that is the $5 billion Qiddiya project. Now, Qiddiya, in case you don't know, is a new entertainment and leisure city about 40 minutes drive southwest of Riyadh, and it's enclosed within a natural canyon, cliffs on either side. Hopefully this image gives you a small idea of what it's going to be like. But it's covering a huge area, over 334 square kilometers, and it's a fast track project which the kingdom hopes to open as its first phase in 2024. This is basically a project that is designed to provide a leisure and tourism destination for Saudis themselves. So, as we all know, a lot of Saudi Arabians, they travel to Dubai or other parts of the world because they for their retail and leisure requirements. And the aim of this project is to try and keep the Saudis in the kingdom and have a more local and closer leisure destination for them. So as a result, this project comprises several different zones, focusing on different leisure aspects. We've got a golf zone, we've got a theme park zone, we've got a motorsport zone, which you can see in this image. There's going to be a Formula One track there. And as you can see on the top right-hand corner, we've got some of the key packages or the key subdivisions of the project lined up. Now, some initial work has already started. The access roads, the visitor center, some of the overhead lines, and some of the earthworks, infrastructure works have already been awarded and underway. And the client, the Qiddiya Investment Company, which is part of the Saudi Public Investment Fund, is expected to tender over the course of the next 18 months the key construction packages on a fast track basis in order to have the project ready for 2024. As with all the Kingdom's Giga Projects program, the project is going to be looking for both local and international contractors to participate, sometimes in JV, sometimes on their own, but it is a market generally that, and this project is part of that, that is open to international investment and international contractors. Like all the projects we're displaying here, if you want to partake in this, in a project like Qiddiya, you just need to go to the client's website, in this case the Qiddiya Investment Company, and register there as a supplier, as a vendor, and then you'll get the tender documents as they come out. So that's a very exciting and a very fast-track project. It's got strong demand, inherent demand, supported by the government, funded by the government, and it's pushing ahead, full steam ahead. Another government-supported so-called Giga project coming up in the Kingdom, and perhaps the most advanced of them all, is the Red Sea Tourism Project. This project sponsored by the Red Sea Development Company, and it's a really fascinating, a really exciting tourism project on the Red Sea coast of Saudi Arabia, a couple of 100 kilometers north of Yanbu. It's located in a pristine, untouched part of Saudi Arabia along a beautiful coastline. There's an archipelago of islands, coral reefs, great diving, and great tourism potential. And the Kingdom, as part of its drive to create a tourism and leisure industry, has tasked the Red Sea Development Company to develop some of the islands into a tourist hub. I hope this image here you can see gives you an idea of some of the kind of design that they're looking for. So the Red Sea Tourism Project covers 28,000 square kilometers on the Red Sea coast. There are more than 90 islands as in part of the archipelago, which a handful will be developed in the first stage. A number of very high-end hotels will be built on the island as well as on the coastline, and the aim is to start attracting first tourists, getting the first tourists in from in the period 2023 to 2025 onward. Now we're talking about a project that is a long way from any major habitation center. So there's a large investment in road access, power and water facilities, and also the construction of a new airport. The new airport is split into a number of packages, and we expect that to be awarded the next month or two. I hope the packages on the top left give you an idea of some of the key contracts which are out in the market or which are expected. As you can see, they range from villas and hotel projects to labour accommodation and marine works and bridges and so on. All the necessary facilities required to build a project of this scale. Some of the project will be built on a private public partnership basis, with the private sector funding and financing the individual contracts, such as the utilities, the power, the desalination and district cooling element. So this is one of the more advanced projects. The temporary bridge is already under construction. Some of the jetty work is done. The labour accommodation camp is done. And as I said, we soon expect the airport to be awarded. So this is an exciting project that's well underway, and will soon be able to open to its first tourists. Just a reminder, this presentation is being recorded, and you will be able to view it again in your own time if you miss anything. And also just a reminder, please, to keep asking your questions in the text box, and I'll answer them after. Now, another really exciting project is this project, the Diriyah Gate scheme, $9 billion project, and it is also part of the so-called Giga Projects program as part of the 2030 vision. Now, Diriyah Gate is an area, cultural district, an area just to the western outskirts of Riyadh, and it's the birthplace of the Al Saud dynasty. It has a long history, as you can see in this image. It's got some very historical sites and buildings, and the aim of this project is to develop this cultural and historic destination into a retail, residential, cultural and leisure hub. So it's being developed by the Diriyah Gate Development Authority, which is again a government agency, and it basically involves the construction of retail areas, several high-end hotels, some residential areas as well, within the confines of the Diriyah Gate district. Now, the authorities want to maintain the character of the Diriyah Gate, and so a lot of the roads and the utility networks will be underground, and that is why there's such a high investment cost for this project. Roads and tunnels there'll be 15 kilometers of tunnels. There'll be all water pipeline and cables and utility networks will be underground in order to avoid spoiling the sort of cultural ambience of the project. Again, you can see the different packages or breakdowns of the projects in the bottom right-hand corner. Tendering is already starting on the initial works. Some of the basic earthworks have commenced, and this is going to be another significant project where billions of dollars will be spent over the next 2 to 5 years. As part of the development as well, there's going to be a big residential golfing development as well called Wadi Safar alongside Diriyah Gate. This is also another multi-billion-dollar project, a very exclusive residential location, some of the biggest plots of land in Saudi Arabia, and a championship golf course, I think, is being designed by Greg Norman. This is going to be a very significant destination and a major significant project opportunity for companies in the years ahead. Another sort of cultural project and another really beautiful part of Saudi Arabia is the development of the Al Ula region. So Al Ula is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It lies in central northwest Saudi Arabia. And I guess the easiest way to describe it would be a little bit like Petra in Jordan. As you can see, there are Nabatean buildings here etched into the cliff face. But actually, it's actually a lot larger than Petra and a lot more untouched. And it's really quite an amazing place. You can see the cliffs and the canyons in the background. And that's just one small part of this region. This photo can't do it justice. It really is incredible. And the authorities, through the Royal Commission for Al Ula, they want to sensitively and delicately create turn Al Ula into a international tourism destination through the construction of tourism infrastructure, hotels, nature reserves, and some small-scale residential and retail developments. Again, this is a project that's going to need an airport due to its remoteness, and that's part of the project. But you've got some really beautiful hotels in the planning stages. Hotels by the likes of Jean Nouvel architects and Jean Garcia as well, another French interior designer. You've got some really exclusive and some beautiful hotels coming up there. The total cost of developing Al Ula is estimated at about $3 billion. And again, it's one of the giga projects in the kingdom. And it's again a very illustrative of the new types of project that the government want to develop and attract foreign investment in. And this is similarly going to be developed on a fairly fast-track basis over the next couple of years. And then finally, of course, is the sort of big daddy of all of the forthcoming giga projects in Saudi Arabia, and this is NEOM. NEOM is a staggeringly large project with an estimated value of about $500 billion. That's just a huge project, possibly the largest project ever undertaken anywhere in the world. And this is a project, as you can see here from the map, which is going to encompass a massive area of 26,500 square kilometers in the far northwest of Saudi Arabia, next to the Egyptian Sinai Peninsula. It will be connected to Egypt through a new causeway across the Straits of Tiran, and is really aimed at creating a almost completely new city in this untouched, undeveloped part of Saudi Arabia, with a focus on future, with AI integrated into the development, robotics, smart city, or fully automated project that is going to be creating work and opportunities for anyone in the project space for the next 2 decades. It is a truly incredible project that is just enormous. It's going to require, as you know, hundreds of billions of dollars, as I said. And currently, initial works have already started. Obviously, access roads, ready-mix plants, an airport, and the utilities and labour camps required to ramp up construction operations in this fairly remote part of the kingdom. There's already been some small-scale residential development in NEOM. We've got coming up as well some initial touristic developments, some first hotels there. And then we're going to be seeing some more extensive more extensive construction work of the first phase of the project, which will involve some residential projects, some commercial areas, as well as, of course, desalination plant and other key projects required to maintain this and develop this first phase. So this is a project, NEOM, that's going to be something that's going to keep everyone occupied for at least 2 decades, as I said, and tenders are going to come out on a steady level, steadily for years to come. So, for anyone interested in this, it's important to register with NEOM as a vendor, so you can take advantage of the tenders and the projects and the various procurement as they come. So I hope I've given you an idea, firstly, of the scale and size of the opportunity in Saudi Arabia. As I said, it is the largest projects market in the region by a long way. It is the only market really to have grown in the region last 12 months. And I hope I've given you an idea of some of the very key, very exciting and key projects coming up. Of course, this is just a small sample of those. There's many more projects to come. Affordable housing projects, railways, metros, other real estate projects, malls. But there's simply a huge amount of work required in the kingdom as it opens up and it seeks to diversify. So I look forward to being able to give you more information on other projects over the next 12 months, and of course also that I hope to see you yourselves next year, 7th to 10th of March, at the Riyadh International Convention Exhibition Centre, when the Big 5 Saudi will be taking place. Right, now I'll be taking some questions from you. Thank you very much for all your questions that you have been asking. If you do have any, please fill in the text box and I will do my best to answer them if I can. And as I said, this is being recorded, so you'll be able to look at this at your own time. We'll send you a link to the recording of this presentation. And of course, if you wish to get in touch with me, you've got my email address there, as you can see, my mobile number. And of course, I'd also urge you to learn more about some of the project opportunities in the kingdom through our projects tracking service, which is at meedprojects.com. I urge you all to check it out. Right, so let's start with answering some of your questions. Okay. Okay, so the first question, which I suppose is the obvious one people are asking, is the impact of the coronavirus, COVID-19, on the projects market, and also another issue that's come up in recent weeks, which is the oil price and the falling oil price and the sort of oil price battle between Russia and Saudi Arabia and the impact they have on the projects program. But these are very relevant questions and something that, of course, a lot of us are focused on right now. And I think the answers are actually quite positive. So, of course, coronavirus is a major issue. But if you look at the statements which have been coming out of places like Abu Dhabi and Riyadh, the attitude of the governments of the region is actually to accelerate spending and to maintain spending on the construction market. The reason being is that there's actually little governments can do in the face of the virus. But one thing they can do is inject money into the economy to maintain it. And of course, there's actually fewer better ways of keeping the economy going than by actually increasing spending in construction. Construction is a core component of the economies of the GCC. And so governments can directly impact economic growth and keep the economy going by actually spending more on projects. As we know, the projects market in the region is public sector dominated. Most projects are directly funded by the state. So there is a direct link between the health of the economies and the levels of project spending. So I don't expect in the medium term for there to be for the virus to affect project spending overall. And I think obviously in the next couple of weeks, in the very short term, we'll have to wait and see. There might be a few blips here and there, but I think for the year as a whole, and certainly for in the coming 2 years, I think we should see a very substantial increase in project spending, especially in Saudi Arabia. And I think the projects that I've shown you there, which a lot of them which are being government funded and on a fast track basis, kind of illustrate that. Now, the similar argument goes for the fall in the oil prices. Yes, of course, oil price, the region is as a whole benefits from higher oil prices, but we do have to recognise that the oil price fall in recent days and weeks has actually been directly instigated by Saudi Arabia and other GCC states, and it is part of a calculated plan to gain market share and in the end to actually come out of this low oil price environment with a more controlled oil price regime, and also for them to emerge stronger and healthier as a result. Again, as I said earlier at the beginning of the presentation, there's not always a direct link between oil price and project spending, particularly in sectors like oil and gas and power and water. And I think it's also important to bear in mind that these projects that we've gone through today and the construction in general in Saudi Arabia is really part of the Saudi 2030 vision, where the government has prioritized spending on the projects market in order to diversify the economy and open it up. So following the IPO of Aramco and the funds that have been raised there, the public investment funds, huge reserves, hundreds of billions of dollars, the government has taken a calculated approach to the oil price and has certainly, I think, got the finances to push ahead with these projects. So, of course, we'd rather have higher oil prices in the region, but I don't expect in this instance for the oil price fall to have an immediate or direct impact on these projects. Right. Next question. So far, have any of the contracts been awarded in any of these projects? Yes. So as I said, I think the Red Sea project is the most advanced of the Giga Projects program. We've had already multiple contracts awarded on it. We've had the base camp, the labour base camp been awarded. We've had some access roads being awarded. We've had the temporary bridge to the islands awarded, some jetties and so forth. And as I also said, we've got the airport contract to be awarded potentially this month, and utilities contract to be awarded next 2 months. So definitely contract work is already begun on these projects. In Qiddiya as well, we've got the access roads, the utilities relocation. We've got some earthworks projects already awarded. So again, this work is already underway. And I think we've gone from previous years where we're talking about these projects, theoretical projects, and we're looking at renders and so forth, to a stage where we're now saying, right, actually, work is actually going on the ground. These projects are now facts on the ground, and work is actually underway and are becoming more concrete. So, this time next year, when we're at the Big Five Saudi event, we won't be talking about theoretical projects, we'll be talking about actual projects under construction. Someone has pointed out about the Al Ula project. You said some projects are in design stage, but the project is in execution. Yes, the overall project is in execution, and that the initial works have already begun, although some of the hotel jobs have not yet been tendered, are still in design. But certainly initial earthworks and some of the other initial contracts required to ramp up development there have been awarded, and that's moving again very fast. And again, by this time next year, we'll be talking about the awards of the hotel contracts and about them being constructed. So I hope that clarifies that question. Is there any metro link from Riyadh to Jeddah coming up? Actually, it's an interesting question. Well, the distance of 1,000 kilometers is too far to have a metro project, but there is the project called the Saudi Land Bridge, which is a long planned freight passenger network between Jeddah and Riyadh. And in 2018, the government signed an MOU with China State Construction for the development of the railway, and I understand that preparations for this project are very advanced, and I think we may well see some work start this year on the construction of this very important project. It's about $7 billion, and it's one of the world's largest railway projects. And again, it's a sign of the way that Saudi Arabia is changing by focusing on these new types of projects, which before were never considered. Until relatively recently, Saudi Arabia had only one small railway line between Riyadh and Dammam. The fact now that you've got railway projects planned across the kingdom or under construction is indicative of change in the economy and the way that Saudi Arabia wants to improve transport network as a whole in the kingdom. Okay, for NEOM Qiddiya projects, is it mandatory to register in order to obtain the relevant RFQs? That's a very good question. The answer is yes. So there is no public tender board for these projects in the kingdom. You cannot, the tenders are not publicized, they're not published in newspapers, and they're not published online. You will not be able to participate in them unless you register individually with each of the clients for these giga projects. So whether it's the Qiddiya Investment Company or the Red Sea Development Company or the NEOM Development Company or the Royal Commission for Al Ula or Diriyah Gate Development Authority, you have to go and register individually with each one in order to participate as a vendor, whether as a contractor or supplier. You do need to register individually with them. So I urge you to go onto their websites and do so. And you will, provided you're pre-qualified, you will start receiving the relevant RFQs, RFPs, pre-qualification, so on. Right. Do these projects, next question, do these projects give any room for those that want to work construction-related jobs in is that South Africa, RSA, or Saudi Arabia, or KSA? I'm not sure, but are foreigners. So are you saying here are international companies welcome to participate? Definitely, absolutely. The work you can see here planned cannot be undertaken by local companies alone. In some instances, it requires international expertise because there isn't simply the experience or capability levels in the kingdom. And if you look at some of the contracts awarded already on, say, the Red Sea project, you'll see that that international companies have won them. So certainly the clients on these projects, they want to welcome international companies. They are expecting to receive foreign investments, and they're expecting to receive bids from international companies. Of course, you need to incorporate in the kingdom. You'll need a local partner to participate, but absolutely, they're looking for international participation in these schemes. Right. Next question. What is the status of Jeddah Metro? When is it expected to come into construction? Well, the Jeddah Metro project is a long planned project that has come and gone in recent years. I think at this point now we are reaching a stage where it is becoming more definite, and I would expect to see some announcement or some specific news on the Jeddah Metro over the next 12 months. I think following the success of the Riyadh Metro, I think the government recognises the need to build railway and metro networks in its major cities. And I think not just Jeddah, but Medina Metro will see some key announcements about these metros very soon. I think the key question for the authorities is whether to do them directly funded or whether to get the private sector to help finance and operate these projects on a PPP basis. But I expect that these will be something that will be coming up soon. Next question, how can I register my company to bid on any of these projects? Well, I think I've covered some of that, but I think you need to go onto the websites of each of these Giga projects, the clients, and register as a vendor. Each one has a link on each page to how you can register. You will have to fill in the forms. You need your registration number, your various different licenses to operate in Saudi Arabia. Once you've entered those, you'll be added to the vendor list and you'll be able to participate in the projects there. For other projects for the public sector, again, you will need to be registered with the Etimad tender board for public sector contracts in the kingdom. Again, you'll need to be incorporated. You need to register with the tender board in order to participate. Any specific information about the SoftBank deal in solar projects in the kingdom? So a year or two ago, SoftBank announced with Riyadh a very substantial multi-billion-dollar program to build solar projects, solar plants in the kingdom. And following that announcement, there was some doubt about whether it would proceed. But actually, it's now something that it looks like is coming back. Of course, in Saudi Arabia, you've got also solar projects planned by REPTO, the Renewable Energy Development Office, that's been successful already with the first few solar projects and wind farms. And the SoftBank and PIF, Public Investment Fund, have also got their own solar projects. And we've seen already two 1,000 megawatt solar projects awarded as part of that PIF SoftBank program. So it is moving ahead. And so you've got two different programs, one by REPTO and one by the PIF. And you'll soon see Saudi Arabia becoming one of the world's key players in solar energy. Obviously, it makes complete sense. You've got strong irradiation levels in the kingdom, and it's a way of reducing the kingdom's dependence on gas and oil, and becoming cleaner, having a cleaner environment with focus on solar renewable energy. What is the future of the Kingdom Tower project in Jeddah is another question, which is, of course, something that people often talk about. So just for those of you who might not know, that the Kingdom Tower is a kilometer plus tall tower in Jeddah, planned by Kingdom in Jeddah Economic City, planned by Kingdom Holdings. And construction on that project started a few years ago and has reached, I think, a couple of 100 meters now, but it has had intermittent progress, has been on off for a few years now. It's going to take a while for the project to be finished, and progress, as I said, has been stop-start. So really, it's unclear how this project will progress at this moment in time. But we're hoping, obviously, that one day it will be finished and it will become the world's tallest building, and certainly represent a significant achievement for Saudi Arabia. So I'm afraid I don't really have an answer for you on that question, because it's it's, as I said, stop-start, but we'll wait and see how it proceeds over the next couple of years. Question, you mentioned that it is mandatory to be registered as an approved service provider in order to be eligible to get the RFPs for the project. Registration shall be done with TRSDC or individually of each. So you need to register with each client individually. So whether it's TRSDC, the Red Sea Development Company, or Kadir Investment Company, or NEOM, or Al-Ula, you have to register individually at each website for each client. So registering with one will not make you automatically eligible to receive RFPs or RFQs for others. Okay, so you have to register with each one, and of course you have to be registered in Saudi Arabia as a contractor, clearly as well. So you can't just you have to be incorporated in Saudi or have an agent or a partner in Saudi Arabia in order to participate in these projects as well. Thank you for the questions. Keep them coming. It's your chance to ask. I've got a question here. Any questions, any opportunities for or projects for HVAC? HVAC being ventilation, AC systems and heating. Obviously more more AC and ventilation in Saudi Arabia than heating, but well, I mean, yes, obviously, I mean, for every of these projects, AC and ventilation systems or HVAC systems are a must. And so each of the projects we talked about, a very substantial portion of the billions of dollars investments we're talking about will feature HVAC systems. So I have in the past done a webinar with the Big Five on HVAC opportunities. Perhaps you could search for it on YouTube. I think it's on YouTube, and you can where I've quantified the scale of the opportunity. But certainly it runs into the hundreds of millions of dollars in the kingdom, possibly in the billions of dollars. Any other questions? Just checking everyone's. Had someone saying they've had some connection issues. Can you resend the presentation? Well, we are, as I said, we are recording the presentation, and we will put it online, and you will be able to view it in your own time, and we will, you will be able to see it then. And of course, this is just first in a series of presentations we'll be doing on different aspects of the Saudi construction industry and the Saudi projects market. And of course, if you do have any questions, you're very welcome to email me or directly. My email address is on there, and we can have a conversation offline. Is the Mecca Metro project cancelled, or may it go forward? Well, if you're familiar with the Mecca Metro, you'll know that bids were submitted a few years ago, and the project was about to proceed, and then unfortunately put on hold. It's difficult at this point to know how it's going to proceed, but I believe, given the Saudi 2030 vision and the Mecca Metro being inherent part of that, I do expect it to be revived in one way or the other. Whether it's going to be directly funded by the government or whether it's going to be on a PPP basis, we'll have to wait and see. Okay, so nearly approaching an hour now for this presentation, so I may have time for just one more question if there are any. And if they're not, we'll bring this presentation to an end. So thank you very much for registering and listening in to this. I hope it was useful for you. I hope it gives you a taste of the pipeline of opportunities in the kingdom. I hope it gives you some excitement in these very difficult times right now. Hopefully the coronavirus is a short-term issue. The pipeline of opportunities and the opportunity in Saudi Arabia is a long-term opportunity. So regardless of what happens today, this week, this month, next couple of months, the Saudi Arabia project opportunity will remain with us for many years to come. And we have to think, I think, in a long-term basis, and there will be a lot of developments in the years to come, which you will be able to take advantage of. So thank you very much for your attention and your questions, and I look forward to seeing you again in my next webinar, and we'll let you know when that is. And of course, I hope to see you all next year, 7th to 10th of March, in Riyadh for the Big Five Saudi event, which promises to be excellent. As you can see, lots to talk about, and we'll have even more information to update you with there. So once again, thank you very much and for your time, and I look forward to hearing and speaking to you soon. Thank you.